Hey, all right, all right. There he is, looking good.
How are you?
Good, man. Ready to go, ready to go.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you fine.
All right, perfect.
Everything's clear.
Cool.
We'll go for about, just like I said, about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to mess with this earpiece a little bit.
You said you're on the earpiece right now? He'll be back in a second. He started buffering. Good, Larry. How you doing, man?
All right, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. You want to do
All right,
it?
cool.
Do a quick mic check. 1, 2. Let me hear that.
Mic check, 1, 2.
Okay, yeah, all right. I can hear you.
Good?
Yeah, sounds good.
Cool. Thank you, man. I couldn't hear you very well the first time around.
I'm going to do a quick intro and let everybody know what they're listening to. I'm going to introduce you, and then we're going to go right into the talk. And you've seen the questions. I'm going to stick right to that.
All right.
Some people are probably ask questions. Whoever jumps in, they may ask, questions. If you want to address it, any other talk, man. It's just like we're sitting over at the house talking to you right now. So that's all it is. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Good.
That's how we get ready to do it. So I'm getting ready to do a countdown of 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everyone. You are listening. You are watching the RDC Speak Life Sessions. You can make sure you watch this broadcast again on my YouTube page, Rodney Damon Collins TV. Make sure you subscribe to my podcast, RDC Speak Life Sessions, on Apple. Follow on Spotify and Anchor. Make sure you subscribe, follow. You can rate the podcast. Please give ratings. The brother needs some ratings. And thank you for watching the show and listening. Today, I have a very special guest. This is the second half of my double header. So I love doing double headers. This is great. As we like to do, we like to bring you inspiring people so you can live an inspired life. And who I have with me is a corporate executive with over 25 years of experience in marketing and brand development, and has mentored in the past, helped other industry professionals develop their careers. He has been a friend of mine since I can remember briefly. We have been friends like this. We don't remember meeting each other. That's how long we've been friends, because we've been friends since we were kids. That's how you know a friendship and a bond is meant to last. So I'm grateful that he's in my life. Without further ado, he's sitting there humbly ready to talk. This is the man right here. Show some love. Get some round of applause for Mr. R Anthony Burel, please.
Thank you. Glad to be with you, man.
Yeah, man. So how's the day going? Are you barbecuing right now?
No, sir. It's too hot, but just enjoying the little break on the weekend and trying to keep this about the only business conversation I might have all weekend, because I need my mental downtime after intense weeks.
Well, this will be a fun conversation.
Ooh, that sounds good. I can always have a little fun in my life.
Oh, we got it for you. My man DJ just jumped in. He runs the title boxing clubs in Polaris, in Columbus.
Wonderful.
He and his brother, they run title boxing clubs where I used to work there and be a trainer there. So thanks, DJ, for jumping in. It's been a long time. And we always see Sandra here. She got to support her brother, her little brother.
Wow. It's funny. Yeah, man. I used to spend a little bit of time living in that area, like Polaris area in Columbus, and boxing is truly the best cardio workout I think I've ever had.
Oh, yeah. I can still give you one. I still got the mitts. I got the mitts and I got gloves. So I'm trying to take you through one.
Yes, there we go. Need that right now, quarantine style.
Hey, man, put it like this. I'm glad we got warm weather out here compared to what's happening back in our home state. Yeah. I heard it's 35 today, and it was snowing a little bit. So I ain't missing that. Not in May. But I want to get to the talk so we can get rolling. And everybody, feel free to ask questions. I'm sitting here with R Anthony Burel, corporate executive, 25 years of experience, marketing, brand development. He can answer so many questions with regard to furthering your career, starting a business. Now is a good time. If you have a business, drop a line right now. You can ask his questions. He'll let you know at the end of this interview how he wants to be connected with it, if at all. But as an executive, this is one question, man. As an exec who works from home, do you see the climate changing to where we'll see more companies switch to telecommuting?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that COVID has impacted us in a permanent way in the
Yeah.
aspect of what happened with large offices is it can be a fun environment. You look at companies like Google who have made it a fun place to work. They have games in there. I've been in their corporate office, and they pride themselves on having an environment that employees take pride in coming to work. The
Uh-huh.
challenge with that now is with all those fun things, video games in there, snack rooms, break rooms, coffee machines, free drinks, all of that now you have an exposure to the germs that people weren't quite as concerned about before.
Yeah.
You have large gatherings in those areas. You got 20 to 25 people at one time in the snack area. That the makeup of that changes now. So a lot of things that we're even doing on the corporate side is trying to figure out what's the new world look like, because we've made a lot of investments in those break areas. I've been working in the beverage industry and consumer packaged goods for most of my career, and we've
Mhm.
invested a lot of money in creating fun work environments for companies like Google. And the challenge that you have now is what's that look like after you've made that huge investment? You have these awesome break rooms. What happens moving forward now? Because for people's safety and health, working from home is probably going to be at least long term, if not permanent. So how
Wow.
do you bring that to a home environment where people still feel engaged, they still feel appreciated, they still feel valued? So a lot of those answers are being determined right now. There's a lot of speculation because, of course, each state will operate based on the governor's the direction. But
Yeah.
certainly now, working from home and the home environment is going to be something that's long term, where people who may have picked a house or a place to live based on what's good for their personal life, now they've got to factor in works from home space. So there's a lot of factors that, there's an investment in establishing a good working from home environment, having the space for it. How do I have quiet? How do I have peace and quiet? Do I have a place to take conference calls from that's separate if you might have a roommate or pets or even kids, having that
Right.
established. So there's a shift now of people having to consider things that they didn't necessarily consider before, because working from home long term is actually going to be a benefit to their health.
Wow. So, man, because that is, it's like something that I remember with just working in corporate America. It was nice, to go to a place of employment, but when you ain't got to get up for rush hour, and I think a lot of us have been spoiled by that, and you haven't had to travel as much. That
Yeah.
has to feel kind of nice though too, being able to kind of just get up, do your meetings, and then go about your day, right?
It's been a balance for me. I've liked having the ability to be home more. I'm typically on the road every single week. I've done that for years. So I am a little cabin fever setting in from being home this much. It's been a blessing for me because my travel is not typically boring travel. I'm getting to go to some of the greatest cities in the world. And so that now has been taken away a little bit. And but it gives me a good balance because every week, every year, it wears you out quite a bit. And so sometimes it's not always fun. So I'm trying to embrace the change and as a blessing and recognize, number one, I'm grateful to still have a job, grateful to be
Yeah.
able to work. But I'm also taking the opportunity to do things from home that I haven't had the time to do before. I'm actually talking to you now from sitting outside, set up a gazebo since I've been home so much. So I got the fire pit and couches and all those things set up outside. I had the time to worry about all that before, because when I was home, I was just sleep, vegging out, chilling. But now not having all this travel, it's made me embrace the things at home the little to-do list that everybody's got.
Yeah.
Knock those things off that to-do list.
Well, I like to hear that, man. I for one, I was reading an article this morning on LinkedIn, and it was talking about working at home. That a lot of people who are being called back into the office are really kind of clamoring because they're like, man, I kind of like this environment I've set up at home.
Yeah.
And I see that being the trend with what we're going through, and it could be a good thing, but I just hope it doesn't stick to where you never get a chance to engage people in that corporate environment again, because I think we still need that people element. We still need
Right.
to touch each other. So
Yeah, it's interesting because there can be a benefit to the company to allow
yeah,
people to continue to work from home, or cost savings to that. or there could be an incremental expense depending on the company's beliefs that they've got to help people establish office furniture and all of the capabilities, some of the luxuries that they had in the office, having
Yes.
those now at home, even the setup of having a dual monitor or a monitor at all. A lot of people work from a laptop, and so
Yeah.
you may not you in your office you may have had dual monitors, but at home you didn't have that setup. You didn't have a keyboard. All you using the laptop. So
Right.
some of those things could be a business expense to establish people from working from home. But one of the things that we're also seeing a lot of is shifting in schedules, meaning that certain departments may come in Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Other departments come in Tuesday, Thursday. So that way the office is not too cramped, but yet
Yeah.
your functional team is all together. Everybody who you interact and work with is all together on certain days. And then the other days they work from home. So again, there's no one answer I think that's going to work for all companies moving
Yeah.
forward, but there certainly has to be some practical balance in figuring out what's best for the company versus what's best for the employees. Because if you're putting them in an unsafe environment, I don't think anybody wants that, employees
Right.
or employers. But that's part of the balance of figuring out, depending on the size of the company, making sure that you're doing what's right for the company as well as for the employee's safety.
Man, what you brought up, I didn't even think about the fact that it could be a cost to employers to furnish like a person's house, like a private, like a home office. I didn't even think about that. That could be an issue for working at home, like where companies have to say, well, now we got to get you a desk and some other stuff to help you out to run your home office. So, man.
Yeah. There's a startup expense of, in most cases, of working from home, but again, from the long-term perspective, having the balance. And I've worked from home pretty much most of my career because I've traveled quite a bit. But the challenge with that then is you lose that human interaction and human connection. So if you are a person who now is working from home, making sure that you have the balance of setting up networks for support. So one of the companies, again, I've worked for major corporations that are Fortune 50 companies, and so I was one of the founding members of an employee network for an African American support network. So employees all over the country who work from home had the ability to just interact with people, bounce ideas off of each other, share best practices, because sometimes you need those networks before you put something out there on the line that may be flawed. So having a network of people who, hey, I want to bounce some ideas off of you, and it's a safe environment to where nobody's going to repeat it, nobody's going to throw you out there, put you on blast that your idea was horrible. But having that safe environment, you sometimes have to take the initiative to do that on your own when you're from home. Set up a network and mentors, people who you can check in with, because working from home can be such a tough environment sometimes if you don't establish a support system. We all need that support system.
You got funny stuff can happen working at home, as you know from one of the stories I told you. I ain't telling this story in this interview, but you have to communicate with the people who live in your house. You have to let them know this is my office right here. You have to have certain parts of the home that are reserved for your work, and people have to respect that when you're in there working, that they can't just walk in and be like, hey, can you run to the store for me? It's like, I'm actually working right now. So
absolutely.
It's kind of interesting.
Address that stuff first at home, handle your business at first, so everybody knows this is not the free time to just walk. Have clothes on if you're going to be in the background in the camera. Yeah, man. Oh, that's real.
Yes. We have a question already. I got a list, but we got another question. It's pivoting, I think. It says, what advice would you give to college graduates as they begin to search for employment during the wake of COVID? And how can they stand out?
Yeah, a couple of key things. I think number one, it's a conversation within yourself that you have to have, which is truth and honesty. What do you really want to do? What's going to make you happy? There's nothing worse than going to work every day and hate what you do. So,
Been there.
Yeah. So I think it's really important to figure out what is your motivation, what do you really want to do, and how can you turn that into a career? So there's a tough balance. Now here's the other piece of that. You may love what you do, but if it doesn't pay a lot, that's another conversation you have to have. I started my career working in pro sports. So I interned with the Detroit Tigers fresh out of when you and I graduated from college in our senior year. And loved what I was doing. I would get people who would call in the office and say, man, you got the dream job. People I don't even know, but just doing business deals and interaction. You say you have a dream job. But what they didn't know, this was back in 95.
Yeah.
I was making less than $15,000 a year was my salary,
Really?
working for in pro sports. And I'm working on a payroll at that time of, top players making millions of dollars, but yet I was living in poverty level. So part of the conversation you have to have with yourself is, yes, I love this job that I want to do, but can I live in the lifestyle that it affords me to live? I knew at some point I wanted to, certain things I wanted to do in my personal life. And at $13,000 to $15,000 a year, it wasn't going to be enough. Now, again, that was 95. So that's probably today more closer to like $17,000, $18,000, but it's still not a lot of money. So part of that conversation you to have is you got to do your homework. Go on LinkedIn, Google search, find out what's the average or median salary for that industry. So that way you'll know what you're getting yourself into. And then do what I did, which I think is important, is do an internship. Sometimes you don't know until you get in it. And you may not know that you would hate this job. It may sound great on paper, but do an internship to figure out, is this something that I would love to do long term? That way you're not making a long-term employment decision, or you're not moving for a job and not knowing what you're getting yourself into. While you have an opportunity before you make a long-term commitment, do an internship. Follow somebody. Be willing to pay your dues. And my internship was free. I wasn't getting paid. I was driving an hour each way, paying my own gas. But I knew that I needed to make that investment to be able to determine. And I've heard a lot of very highly successful people did the same thing. Paid their dues, didn't get paid for it. If you're shunning at it because it's a free internship, it could be a problem. You might need to just, again, while you can, or if you can afford to do a free internship, if that's what it takes for you to keep from making a long-term mistake, invest that little bit of time, a few months of doing an internship. I think my internship was about 6 months. So between let's say even 3 to 6 months, if you can make that investment, it's a good way of putting your feet out there a little bit, put your toe in that water before you decide, oh, I can't swim and I don't like this job. So those are really the ways. And for me, it is following somebody who is where you want to be. If you give a mentor, you get a shadowing day with them, it helps you to see what life would be like in that role. So again, that way you don't make a long-term mistake, but you know a little bit more about what you're getting yourself into.
Okay. Everybody, thank you guys for logging in. You are watching RDC Speak Life Sessions. I am sitting here with my special guest, corporate executive, R Anthony Burel, who is giving a lot of knowledge on how we can navigate these waters we got going on right here when it comes to COVID-19, and also just preparing for what the work world is going to look like in the coming months and maybe the coming years. So when you talk about, we're talking about selling ourselves basically to employers now, especially if you're right out of college and you're looking for a job. What would you say as far as what would be one thing that you're looking for as an employer from a college student who's applying? And that's the first part. Second part is, with the hiring freeze that's taking place throughout the country, should they just wait until everything's lifted or still get their resume in now?
Well, depending on your situation, you may not be able to wait. If you got bills today, you need some income. So I think it's really a personal situation. The answer to that question, can you afford to, or do you need employment right now? And I think if employers are advertising roles, then there's a need out there. So the demand and the need sometimes, don't always line up. But taking a look and seeing, pretty much most jobs are posted online, LinkedIn, different employment job sites. Yes. So again, if it's out there, then go for it. Now, all of the roles that directly report into me, I have leadership roles, people in leadership roles, management that report to me. So I don't do any hiring of any entry level roles. Okay. But if I were looking for someone entry level, one of the things that I would look at is, what did they do over and above just being a student? So were there things that you volunteered in? Were you part of associations? Because really what we want to look for is, what's the person capable of? Who are they? And sometimes a resume is just a story that You can pay an agency to put together or a consultant to put together, but you want
Yes.
to dive into a little bit deeper to see more of who this person is. How do they spend their time? What do they do? And when you look for someone who goes over and above the basics, all they've done is
Yes.
just being a student. They weren't involved in other activities or volunteering. That may not bring them up to the top of the charts. But you really
Okay.
want to look for someone who went over and above outside of what is the basic, because everybody can do the basic, but who stands out from a resume standpoint is usually based off of how they gave of themselves in their free time and volunteering, at the minimum. Also, do they have a job while they're in college? Were they doing things that will help them further their skill set? And it's not
Yeah.
always just college. The university I graduated from, I sit on the board for the college that I graduated in of that university, and so I'm a huge proponent of academics. But for me, even I say that to say that's not the only way. Education, formal education in the classroom is not the only way. You can get solid experience, and sometimes that stands out on your resume that you have applicable experience to that role. When you're looking at stacks and stacks of resumes, we typically are looking for somebody who has some experience in that area, whether that
Yeah.
is volunteering or job experience. So I'm a huge proponent of academics may not be right for everybody, but what
Yeah.
did you do to get some experience in the area that you want to work in?
All right. We go stay here for a second too, because another question I have is, what if you have entrepreneurs who basically been out in the entrepreneur world for the past several years, but now are like, okay, my income's kind of dried up, but I need to at least look for something right now. How is their resume being matched up compared to somebody who has consistent work experience and stuff like that? Is one stronger than the other?
Yeah. So I don't think you have to give up on being an entrepreneur at this time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just shift the mindset. And so going back to the question you asked earlier about the working from home environment, in that situation, you have so many more people who are now working from home and have to set up some semblance of office life at home.
Yeah.
Prime example, I was talking to a friend of mine who's a personal trainer. Employees typically, or larger corporations may offer a health and wellness plan where they either have a fitness center in their office.
Yeah.
So I was consulting with him and telling him, just because your inability to be a personal trainer at the gym has changed, now you can shift your mindset. You can still be an entrepreneur, but what you can do now is shift and offer services to people who are working from home. So one of the things that he can do as a personal trainer, for instance, is do something with your app. So that way you can actually don't have to physically be in the same location, but you are coaching and training people on fitness from home. They're not even in the same physical space, but it's shifting your mindset. So you take the old environment that you were working in, which could have been training people in a gym, and now
Yes.
you shift it as an entrepreneur, and you basically are just offering it distance fitness training now. So again,
Okay.
through an app, through FaceTime, through web, Zoom, whatever it is, you just shift your product or your service to operate in the world that we're dealing in now. And I think you still can survive, because right now there are companies and businesses that are booming in this environment. Those that have home delivery services, grocery stores, there's a lot of businesses that are booming and they haven't been impacted in a negative way. They've actually, the business has skyrocketed. The corporation I work for, some of our home-based business is
Yeah.
booming right now. And
Really?
that's just where you have to shift and try to determine what I have to offer. How can I adapt it into this current environment that works in the world that we are in, and how the world is changing?
Hmm. Man, so you just gave me hope. So there's hope for entrepreneurs out there. You
Yeah,
ain't got to
man.
stop.
You don't have to give up on your dream. You just have to adapt your dream to the current environment of what we're dealing
All right. So now you're preaching now. So um, let me see. We got about 20 more minutes. We'll keep going. Everybody, if you feel like you want to ask questions, Anthony is definitely willing to answer questions. He is highly intelligent, extremely skilled, accomplished a great deal of. I admire and respect what he's done in this professional life, personal life, everything. So I'm glad and feel blessed to call him a friend.
Thank you.
Um, I want to ask you about books because I'm a firm believer that leaders are readers. What type of books would you recommend for somebody who's trying to further develop themselves or even thinking about brand development, something like that in this time, in this COVID time?
Yeah, it's interesting because now with technology and things changing, there's audio books, and a lot of people are putting their content out through digital media. So
Yes.
for me, being well-rounded means it's not just that you read books only, but what are you listening to? What voices are speaking into your life? And so for me, I try to do a combination of it's not just books. For instance, some authors that I think are phenomenal that really helped me. Gary Chapman is an author who wrote a book called The Five Love Languages. And you
Okay.
think of that and think that his expertise is about marriages and relationships. But he
Yeah.
did an adaptation of that about the five languages in the workplace. And so
Really?
that's one of the
I didn't
books that
know.
really, really blessed my life because if you understand the core foundation of the love languages book, it basically says everybody falls within one of the five categories of what love is to you, what moves
Mhm.
you. So basically, what I need or what moves me in a relationship or love may not be the same as what moves you. And so, if you are giving based off of what you need or what you
Yeah.
want, you're missing the fundamental of what the other person needs, which you may
Yeah.
constantly have this void of being with somebody who's unfulfilled because you're operating based on your need, not their need. Speak their love language. How
Yeah.
that has the book, the adaptation for the workplace has benefited me. It taught me as a leader, not everybody is motivated by the same thing. I am not the type of person who wants my name in lights and people hyping me up
You done.
publicly. I'm not moved by all that public stuff because
Yeah.
sometimes it can be very empty and
Yeah.
insincere. So, understanding that some people need that in their lives and they need you to show recognition that they need to be publicly acknowledged. Others, like me, who don't want that, they want the private appreciation. Let me know one on one that you notice what I'm doing, you appreciate what I'm doing. That's me. That's my personal, workplace love language. Is I want the sincerity. I don't want it blowing up in front of a bunch of people. But that has blessed my life. That book has blessed my life. Again, understanding not everybody's needs are the same. So if I am missing the core foundation as a leader of understanding what motivates you, then you're never going to be happy with me leading you.
Yeah.
I have to be able to tap into what works good for you may be different than the next person on my team. T.D. Jakes is another one who really has benefited my life with a lot of the books that he has written. Instinct is one of those. And it's really taught me, again, just being able to be able to tap into emotionally tapping into the people that you're working with and that you're around and being able to understand some people have different needs. And I'll give you a prime example in the workplace when I wasn't working from home and I was only going into the corporate office. My assistant was really big on me saying good morning to her every day. So some mornings I was stressed out. I was coming in with a bunch of problems, hitting my phone before I ever hit the office door. And if I walked in staring at my phone, head down, and didn't speak, she was offended. So I learned what was important for her is for me to be able to say, how are you today? Good morning. How's your day going? That small little 30-second conversation mattered, and she was on board and was supportive. But if I didn't do that, she had attitude, and I would wonder all day long, what was wrong with her? And she was looking at me like, what's wrong with him? He didn't speak to me this morning. So from an instinct standpoint, it really taught me to be emotionally intelligent and
Yes.
understand what people's needs are. On the social side of it, not an actual book, but Gary Vee is someone who I follow on social media and watch and listen to what he's doing. I haven't read it. I don't even know if he's written any books, but him pouring into my life uh, through social media is something that has been a real blessing to me in understanding. Again, not everybody speaks the same language, not everybody's moved the same way, but he is raw, straight to the point, and I really, appreciate the balance that he brings in that. So that's one of the people who may not necessarily be an author, but
Yeah.
they still can pour into your life. So for me, it's just understanding the balance of books and other forms of media where you can get people pouring into you. TED Talks, as a prime example. I've learned so
Yeah.
much from those. Simon Sinek is someone who has done a great deal of giving a lot of insight, and someone who I look at and I watch what he
Yes.
has to say, because it's been a real blessing to my life and understanding how to be better, how to be sharper in business settings.
Malcolm Gladwell also, it's another one you can add to it. There's a question, another one says, any marketing hacks for building a brand and growing your tribe or following on social media?
Yeah, so it's interesting because in the age of social media, if you think about pre-social media, you had to have some type of credentials to have an audience. You had to be an author, a doctor, a PhD. You had to have something behind your name that got people to listen to you. Through social media now, you don't have to have accomplishments. You have a platform now to speak and to speak into people's lives. So it's good and it's also bad. So I think one of the things that people can do is understand who their demographic is, their audience. If your demographic is above the age that cares about social media and they're not really on social media, you have to adapt your mindset to say, what are they listening to? What are they watching? One of the first principles I learned in marketing is companies like Ferrari, they don't do television ads. And the CEO said the reason we don't do them is because our audience isn't sitting around watching TV. Know who your audience is. Know how to reach your audience. So if your audience is not on social media, don't use social media as your platform. If your audience is on social media, absolutely take advantage of the free opportunity to get your message out there. Know the analytics. When are they on social media? What social media are they on? Are they a Twitter audience? Are they Instagram audience? Snapchat, TikTok, whatever it is. Educate yourself. Marketing research is one of the most important things you can do, because there have been great products out there, but they failed because they weren't properly marketed. And that includes your product and your service may be awesome. But if you don't know your demographics, you know how they're spending their time, where they're spending their time, you can miss the mark over and over again. And your great idea can fail because you aren't properly marketing it.
Man, let me say hello to Natalie Fikes, too. She's just joined in. Natalie is an amazing speaker. She is a coach, radio personality, actor in Atlanta. She was recently on the show. Incredible. People just need to visit her website, too, for branding. She has a very good template for branding. So, Natalie, even put your website up there, because I really loved it when I went to it. So, but that's so important, because I think we forget that we have to, each person is individually a corporation, whether you work for a company or you're an entrepreneur. You still have to sell yourself. Am I correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You've got to be able to move people, but you've got to know who you're trying to move. Not everyone is going to be interested in your product or your services. Know your demographic so you can be very, very strategic about your marketing plan. You can't just throw it out there and expect everybody to be interested in it. That's just not realistic. You have to be able to hone in on who is your target audience. What is your target audience looking for? How do you reach them? And those are really the key components that I think people miss oftentimes when they're just going to try to market to anybody and everybody. It doesn't necessarily work that way. Focus on who your audience is and how do you reach them.
You have to be able to move people and who you are trying to move. She said you're dropping gems. you will love Natalie, man. She has so much energy. And Rodney Perry jumped on too, comedian Rodney Perry. He in here, and I'm glad he jumped back in because he shows so much love. He doesn't know it yet, but he's going to be on the show. So now we know. Now we know. So he'll need to get ready. But so we dropped a lot of gems. How much time? Oh, actually, yeah, we still got another 20 minutes. So people can jump in and ask questions. I'm sitting here with corporate executive, 25 years of experience, R Anthony Burel, marketing, expertise, brand management, brand development. He has mentored industry professionals in the past. And he has helped a lot of people with not just people who work in corporate America, but entrepreneurs who are outside doing their own thing, help them learn how to develop and really maximize their potential. So that's why he's on here. We've been friends since we can't remember. We were kids when we met each other, and we can't remember the day we met. That's how long we've been friends. Oh, what products or companies do you enjoy the most? Bam.
Very interesting. So I believe in brand loyalty. I will say that I've had the luxury of working for a corporation that I personally worked on 20 different brands that all have a minimum of $1 billion each brand. So every one of those 20 brands had $1 billion in sales. So for me, I was trying to, as a consumer, contribute to those brands. And so I worked for PepsiCo for the majority of my career, and I still enjoy drinking their beverage products. I'm a big fan of, from a soda standpoint. I try not to drink it very often, but I definitely will still enjoy a Pepsi every once in a while. I'm trying to live a faithful pescatarian lifestyle. If I can be full vegan, I'm gonna be full vegan. But I have found this vegan cheese company called Follow Your Heart. That is like the real thing. It feels like I'm eating real cheese. So that is a brand that I am faithful to and loyal to. That any vegan product that they put out is probably in my refrigerator.
All right. Oh man, see Natalie I love it. Her and Falande, they're all throwing these questions. She says, "Is marketing a gift, passion, or both? And when did you know?"
It's interesting. Wow, that one stumped me a little bit.
And then know that you want to monetize it.
Yeah. So for me, I think I knew very early on. I was an athlete when I was younger, but I knew I wasn't 5 feet 9 inches. I wasn't tall enough to, the odds were against me on being a pro athlete. So I made up my mind very early on. How can I still be involved and engaged in the marketing side of sports without necessarily being an athlete? And so once my playing days were over, I realized, you know what? I want to market this. I want to be a part of this. So I was probably in high school at the time that I figured out that I wanted to be in marketing. I was never the guy who had the dreams of being a pro athlete. I wanted to own the team. So that was something I decided in high school. My ultimate goal was I want to own a professional sport team, because I always thought, if the owner can afford to pay the athletes this much, imagine how much money the owner is making. So that was when I figured out, you know what, ownership, part of that is how do you make it successful? And I took an interest in marketing in high school. I think it's probably both, because I think you can be interested in an area as a passion, but you may not necessarily be talented in it. And that's one of the things that I think you have to be very transparent. That's part of having a mentor. It can be an interest. It can be a passion. It can be something that you're gifted in. But having somebody who is a strong sounding board to say, you know what, love you enough to tell you that's not what your gift is. You're not very good at that. But have it as a trusted resource, because you can have somebody who's just a straight hater and not recognize your gift. And people have been discouraged and walk away from their passion because they got bad advice. Get wise counsel from somebody again. And then, as I said earlier, shadow somebody, take an internship. You'll figure out very quickly, is this just a passion of mine, but I don't really enjoy the hard work of it? Or is it something I can see myself doing long term? Those little things of a mentor, doing an internship, it'll help you figure out where does it fall of, is it something I'm good at, or is it just a passion of mine that I can do? So for me, I was blessed to see I was successful in it. I was moving up very quickly. Things came easy for me. There's some stuff that's tough for me. I'm not a math whiz at all. I'm not a science whiz. But when it came to marketing campaigns and how to promote and how to brand develop, it's something that became very easy. I got the concept very easily. And so I was able to determine, I get it, I understand it, and I understand why brands fail as well. It's not just I understand success, I understand the failure. So for me, I was able to determine those things very early on because I was involved in internships and understanding how to be successful through challenges in marketing.
I'm trying not to laugh at
You got some
Allie's
good stuff.
comments. She said that's not your ministry. Somebody,
Yeah. Hey, that's key. And sometimes you got to be able to handle the truth. If
yeah,
you don't, the
you
truth shall
can't
set
handle
you
it.
free.
You can't handle it.
Yeah, man. Humble yourself and realize sometimes something you may love to do.
Yeah,
I was just speaking to a group of men through a men's ministry, and I was saying, don't have American Idol syndrome. One of the
yeah,
worst things about that is when you see somebody get up there and they sing in American Idol and they're auditioning, and they're so convinced that they're amazing and they're tone deaf and the judges are laughing at them and their families cheering for them, and then they go out of the room and they weren't selected, and everybody's devastated. It's because nobody could tell them the truth and say, that's not your gift, that's not your ministry, you're
yeah,
just not good at this, your notes are so far off. But you got to have people who will be honest with you, and you got to be able to hear the truth and
yeah.
realize this is not my gift.
One of my favorite and most painful passages in the Bible is "Faithful are the wounds of a friend," because a real friend is going to say it in love, and they're going to
Yeah,
speak the truth to you. And it's not always going to feel good, but those are the ones you need in your circle. You don't need a bunch of yes men,
yeah,
because yeah, they'll mess your life up. Here's another question: what are some of your top branding advice, or what causes specific brands to flourish? So,
marketing research.
marketing
That's
research. Back to that.
that is one of the biggest keys. Typically, before we put out a brand, we have done long-term research to
Yeah,
understand, is there a market for it? If there is, what is the market for it? Is it a certain geography? Is it a certain demographic for it? So doing all of those things, and then a case study. So before typically new products and services come out, there's been some type of case study to say we tested this in a certain geography and the test skyrocketed. The
yeah,
results were fantastic. Excuse me. And so a lot of times that's a way of knowing, do you need to make some additional tweaks to what your product or your service is? How was it received? And so do those kind of research. And that's really one of the keys of not rushing into failure. Take your time to make sure that what you have to offer is going to be successful, and how is it going to be successful? Because you can have, again, the greatest product, but if you market it in the wrong way or the wrong demographic, it'll look like it failed. Again, I worked on brands that for corporations, it failed. We
yeah.
did the marketing research, so it's not still foolproof that marketing research is going to be 100% success.
Right.
Sometimes the market changes, interest change. What I think happened with COVID is a prime example of what ideas you had pre-COVID may fail now that we're in a different environment. And so you have to be able to adapt that environment based off of the changes that are happening in the world. Online businesses right now, online products and services. That's just kind of a prime example of adapt to the environment that you're operating in.
Man, Nelly jumped out. We getting question after question. She said, "Can we talk about the wait, basically like the seed time versus harvest time period
Yeah.
in developing like your career, businesses, whatever?" Can you address that for a couple minutes?
Yeah, I used to be frustrated in my career when I was younger, and that executives and leaders would tell me, "You got to pay your dues. You got to wait your turn." And I was like, "I'm ready. I know I'm ready." But now looking back on it, I can understand. Yeah, I see what they meant. The internship, the volunteering, those sometimes taking the grunt work is
Yeah,
paying your dues. The success is not always overnight. Some people have it overnight success, but the wait time is critical. And I don't think you wait and you're stagnant. You wait while you're learning. You're waiting while you're being a sponge. Get in the boardroom, get in the meetings. Sometimes shadow people, follow them, go to business meetings,
hmm,
sit back and watch and observe people who are doing what you want to do,
yes,
because you're not just sitting back and waiting for your success. You're growing and you're developing while you're waiting for your opportunity. And so I think it's really, really important to grow in your wisdom and grow in your stature. And a lot of those things happen because you are affiliating yourself in the environment and with the people who can make the key decisions. We all need somebody, and sometimes our blessings comes through people. And so
Yes.
being able to have the boldness to raise your hand and say, I want to be where you are. Can I shout at you? Can I learn from you? Can I go to lunch with you? If we ever have cafes and coffee shops open up again, take them to lunch. Be
Yeah.
willing to make the investment in the $10 in coffee and sit down with somebody
Yes.
who is willing to shadow or let you shadow and mentor them. Don't be needy about it, because busy people, successful people, are busy. So I
Yeah.
think some of that wait time is, how can you be a sponge? And you have to humble yourself to be able to raise your hand to people who are successful and say, I want to learn from you. I want to be where you are. Can I shadow you? And can I learn from you? And that's the most important key, I think, to the wait time is learn and grow while you're waiting.
Man, that's so powerful because I actually applied that principle when I first got here in LA. And I knew in order to build my career as an actor, I needed to do some background work just to learn and connect. And I remember NCIS, first time I worked it, and while they was giving everybody a break, I saw the director, the first AD, they were actually watching the footage. So instead of me taking a break, I asked the first AD, I said, do you mind if I kind of stand over there and see what you guys are doing back here? So I wanted to see how they critique the video. I was listening. And the first AD was like, he looked very puzzled. He was like, sure. But I think it blew him because they're used to people just coming in, whatever, just to get a check. I was there to learn and be a sponge. I didn't care. Everything on that set I paid attention to. And I think it's helped me now tremendously because I've applied just about everything I've seen just from watching and soaking it up.
Yeah.
So your principle, I see it. I lived it. So,
yeah. We're all going to make mistakes, and being able to make those mistakes early on in a safe environment is really, really helpful. It will help you grow, because if
yeah,
you come in with very little experience, just because you have an interest in something, you're going to stumble at some point. So getting some of those mistakes out of the way before it has detrimental ramifications or long-term ramifications, it's
yeah.
good to do that early in your career. I can look back on things that I did and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did it. But by the grace of God, it didn't ruin my career, but it was early on when I was still learning and growing. And so it's helped me become a better leader today.
Man, with you bringing that up, I do want to address that because I want people to know that if I do make a mistake, how I can rebound from it. So we might need to hear a little short story, just a quick story. We need a Cliff Notes version of one of your stories.
Yeah.
Uh, Ron just asked a question. I want to address this before we go to that. He basically asked, how can you apply market research to a music artist? How can you help them apply this?
Yeah, so I think it really doesn't matter what industry it's in. Look at what does success look like? How did someone else in that genre become successful? Doesn't mean you always have to follow somebody else's footsteps, but knowing and understanding all facets of it. You just can't be talented in one area. So the Bible says that your gift will make room for you, bring you before great men. So your gift can open the door, but do you have the financial and the business savvy to stay in that room that you were able to get your foot in the door? So sometimes I think you have great talent, but people don't always have the best representation, whether that is other people representing them or how you represent yourself. And I'll give you a prime example. I've worked in sponsorships for a long, long time, managed sponsorship budgets. So I would have artists come in who
Yes.
wanted us to work to partner with them. And there were some very successful artists that came in and I met with them. But if they were late, that doesn't look very good. So I'm assembling a group of people to make a decision on if we want to partner with this artist,
Right.
because either I know somebody or I think that they're talented, but your business acumen can get in the way, or lack of business acumen can get in the way. So again, whether it's music or it's other industry, be very well rounded. Be able to present yourself professionally, be articulate, be able to have your contracts in place, be able to understand the legal contract. And if you don't, have somebody else who on your team who does understand those components of it. Because again, I think music industry is one very similar to other industries. It's small. And you know how it is out here in LA. Hollywood is not as big as people may think. One
No.
person knows the next. And if your talent is great, but your business acumen is off, word spreads very, very quickly. People won't want to work with you. So
Right.
I think that's all part of being very well rounded, regardless of what industry it is. But knowing what success looks like in your industry of choice is going to be key in really being able to have longevity and being successful.
And your birthday is June 14th, because I know that, right? Somebody wanted to confirm your birthday, so.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, his birthday is June 14th. I'm telling you. I know his birthday is June 14th. So, give us a quick look into one of your past experiences that was one of those oops moments, like, man, like I really messed up here, and how did you rebound from that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've had to learn everything you think, you don't need to say. Everything you feel, you don't need to act upon. Sometimes you need to take a step back and woosah, sleep on it, pray on it. And I was quick to speak everything I thought early in my career. And I
Yes.
thought, if I don't, people are caging me in and they're not letting me be free. Boy, that was just some ignorance. That was some youthful ignorance. And I really had to learn. And I think, again, you go back to the conversation we had about social media. People will say everything that they think and not realizing how that sounds on the other side of it. So sometimes what you think, you need to just step back, think on it, ponder on it. Is this fair for me to say? How's this sound for me to say? Don't ask everything that you think. Google can be your friend.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people will go, social media is a prime example, on someone else's page, they will respond. It's your page. You have the right and your platform to say anything you want to say on that. Other
Right.
people will come on there and comment if they vastly disagree. Sometimes you may disagree with somebody's thought and their idea,
Yes.
and you don't have to always say it. It's their page. Use your page for your own opinions. And so for me, early on in my career, before social media, I would be in a meeting, or I would say what I think. I even said things to my boss before that I'm like, now looking back, I can't believe I was that critical of her in one situation I'm thinking of. And looking back on it now, I wish I could apologize for being forceful and how I felt. I thought I was just being very truthful and honest. And it might have been how I felt at the time about a certain marketing campaign or some ideas. But
Yeah.
really what I had to do to try to recover from that is perform. At the end of the day, your outcome and what you provide really is what helps you overcome a mistake. I think mistakes you can make up for and you can overcome those, but sometimes it takes time and it takes consistency. And so you can't be in such a hurry for success that you don't ignore that you got to have a track record of success. You putting
Yes.
points on the board consistently is really will help your reputation, and you can overcome hurdles and mistakes. And I think people have done that. Corporations have done it with brands. People have done that with businesses. Through consistent performance, you will make a mistake. Yelp is a real thing. Someone can throw you under the bus through social media or through Yelp reviews, and you think your business is doomed. No,
Yes.
have more success stories than you have failures. And that's really the one of the ways you recover from that.
What's the saying? You're paid for your value, not your time, right? Make yourself valuable. People always talk about, well, I'm here 40 hours, 50 hours a week. Value is what
Yeah.
keeps you. It's what sustains you. I just want to say hello to the Taja B. Simpson. Thank you, Taja, for joining the talk, and that Taja B. Simpson on the Oval, which Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. Correct me if I'm wrong, Taja. 8 p.m. on BET. They just started the second half of their first season, and it's the #1 show on cable right now. So just thought I'd show her some love. Thank her for jumping in too. So
I watched it for the first time this week, so I'm definitely a fan of the show. It's awesome.
you hear that? You got a fan, Taja. You got a fan. See, we're down to about we got about 2 or 3 more minutes. And, see, 9 o'clock. See, she had to get me right. 9 o'clock Eastern, which is 5 o'clock for us. But it'll still air at 9 o'clock for us out here in LA. So 9 o'clock, that's the time that it comes on. Make sure you don't miss it. And, yeah, see, she was like, see, she's good at marketing. She was like, and she has a new lipstick line. And it is fine. Oh, Philanda said that. So, Taja B. Simpson collection. But, Anthony, your playlist, this is a little question for you. if I was to pick up your phone right now and hit the playlist, what song will be playing right now? What song is number one on your playlist right now?
There's an artist called Yeva. He
Uh-huh.
just came out with a new song called Distance.
Uh-huh.
Just hit out. It was midnight, Thursday it came out. That song's on a repeat for me.
Really?
I love her voice. She's got that soulful jazz voice. So that is the number one song I'm listening to probably over and over again. I'm a little bit of a jazz head. I like jazz. I was a little bit of a band nerd back in the day, and orchestra and band, and so it wasn't by choice. I was forced to. My father was like, "Look, you don't play an instrument in this house,"
Yeah.
but it taught me an true appreciation for jazz. So Robert Glasper is one of my favorite.
Yeah.
Chris Bodie, those are artists that are on repeat often for me because I love that jazz vibe.
All right. Okay. I like that. Now, since you're a well-traveled man, you've been to many parts of the world, many parts of the country. Have you thought about what's your dream vacation? And when do you plan? If you may have already taken it. What does it look like, or when do you plan on taking it? So.
Yeah, man, Aruba is my favorite place. Now
Okay.
I'm open. There's so many more places on my bucket list to visit,
Yeah.
but if I can just pick any location, that's the spot. Beautiful weather, beautiful beaches, the ocean is gorgeous out there, and it's just relaxing. So that's my favorite spot, without a doubt, Aruba.
Aruba. Maybe we all need to make that a big old destination. We all have to go there. We have to go to Aruba and have a good time together. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah,
It might be kind of cheap to go there pretty soon.
True. Yeah, very true. I've only been there for business, so
Yeah.
I've never. I mean, of course, I took some vacation time while I was there, but I definitely want to go back and just be able to have all my own time, set my own schedule, do my own thing. But looking forward to that at some point after all this is over.
Philando, want to know, have you been to St. Thomas?
No, you know what? I think I've been on a cruise that made a brief stop, but
I
not.
just said you got to.
Yeah, not to actually get out and spend quality time there. Definitely want to do that though.
We've been to St. Thomas, and we had it was beautiful. It was part of our cruise. We stopped there for the day, and I was like, I could get off the boat and just give me a resort here. I can stay here. I don't need to go to the rest of the cruise. That's how nice it was. It was really Jamaica. Now we said Jamaica. We can't forget Jamaica now.
Absolutely.
So we have 1 minute and 40 seconds before the show is over. They put you on the clock. So I always ask my guests if you have like a parting comment, something to give us some wisdom, something to chew on for the next few days. Can you give us something to encourage us, to help us to stay motivated and to know that things are going to get better?
Yeah, I think be flexible and be willing to adapt your plan to the environment that we're in. Now, that is environment today as well as the future. You have to be able to look into the future to be able to determine how our world is changing, what products, services, whatever your gift is, be able to figure out how can I bring this gift to people? Because I think you can be unapologetic about your gift. The reality is there's no reason to be timid about it. Be wise about it. Do your homework, do your research, but not be timid about it. I personally struggle with that sometimes and making sure that I push and encourage myself to it. But just because our environment is changing, you don't have to necessarily change your vision and your dream. Sometimes you just have to adapt your product and your services to the environment that we're in right now. And it can be a blessing. You may look at it as discouraging or
we got 20 seconds.
So, but yeah, make it happen in the current environment.
All right. Hey, you guys, you've been watching RDC Speak Life Session. Remember to love God, love yourself, love people. Anthony, how do you want to be kept in touch with? Real quick. LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is probably the best source for me.
R Anthony Burel.
Burel.
We love